An example of natural selection, blind cavefish. Let's say that we have a fish, a normal, everyday fish. Now let's say that one day this fish wanders into a cave and becomes trapped. Over the course of several generations, depending on a number of factors, the fish may begin to lose their eyes and their pigmentation. The reason for this is that natural selection favors the fish with no eyes. Because the fish with no eyes does not have to spend precious energy producing the eyes, and therefore needs less food to survive, the blind fish is more likely to survive and reproduce. Also, in a cave with no light, a fish with eyes is more likely to damage the sensitive tissue of the eyes, causing infection. See my video on how natural selection works for a detailed description of how natural selection can modify a population. From a genetics perspective, there are two main possibilities on how a fish would be born blind in the first place. One possibility is that information would be deleted from a fish's DNA that is necessary to produce the eye. This is analogous to tearing out the pages of a book. A second possibility is that there is a mutation in the control mechanisms of the DNA, causing the information that is still either mostly or entirely present to be turned off. Either way, this is not the same as molecules to man evolution. Often textbooks and science classes will use examples of mutation and natural selection, such as this one, as evidence for evolution. They will take examples of mutations that cause a loss of information or a loss of existing biological structures and equivocate this with hypothetical mutations that cause a gain of information. Often textbooks will define evolution one way, and then will switch the definition of evolution without informing the reader. This is called a bait and switch. Sometimes this is done on purpose, and sometimes it is an honest mistake. Lumping the loss of eyes in a fish that wanders into a cave with a hypothetical process that can cause the brain of a rodent to develop into the brain of a human also represents a logical fallacy known as an equivocation fallacy. Taking two different processes and regarding them as the same process is what is known as an equivocation fallacy. There are well-respected scientists that argue for creation, those that argue for evolution, and those that argue for intelligent design. And all agree that the processes of mutation and natural selection are a fact. What they disagree on is what mutation and natural selection are actually capable of.